We are back in the club today. I am your host, Chris Jager, joined in the second chair by Adam Stoczynski.
Thanks, Chris.
And our lovely guest, Mr. John Talbott, marketing faculty at the Kelley School of Business at the Indiana University.
That's correct.
Welcome, John.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Glad to be here.
I think anytime we got folks in from the School of Business, College of Business realm, there's a ton of history, a ton of experience that comes into that. And for yourself, over the last 17 years, you've migrated from a successful career in business to teaching and research in the field of marketing, retail, and general business at the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. That is a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is.
Tell us a little bit about this journey as you make your way from a successful career in business in all these different fields to now teaching and leading in that space.
So 80 million years ago, I graduated with a degree in finance from what is now called the Kelley School of Business.
All right.
And
so you're Kelley through and through.
yeah, it was back then. It was just the business school.
Okay.
So between my junior and senior year, I was looking for a job, something to do, and I went down to the basement of the undergraduate building, and they had a bulletin board. That was our career fair at that point. And the bulletin board with just different jobs on it.
Yeah.
And I just went through and looked at where they were. And there was some Indianapolis, Chicago, Columbus, Ohio, and then there's one Dallas, Texas.
A little outside the Midwest.
Yeah, and I hadn't really had a chance to travel that much in my life, and except in a giant green station wagon, riding across the United States with the family.
I love that. Did it have the wood paneling?
No, but
No.
we got 8 miles to the gallon.
All right.
But, gas was 19 cents then. So
That's
it
true.
was good. So dinosaurs were still walking the earth, and I
So you fend them off and make your way to Dallas.
So I ended up going down there between the junior and senior year, and when I looked at the job, it was a company called Sanger Harris, and no idea what it was at all, but didn't really care, and it had some of the qualifications. It said like good quantitative skills, nice person. I can't even remember what it was, but I went, me, and ended up being one of the 2 guys that got internship offers with them. So I went down to Dallas for that summer with another guy that was in the school with me, and then another buddy of mine named Dennis. And Dennis didn't have a real job, but he worked construction in Dallas, and he would come home to our apartment just in the afternoon at like 2:00, or we'd come in, and he would just literally, he had on just a pair of jean shorts, and he'd just be stripped to the ground, totally sweaty, and laying on the ground in our apartment because it's 117 degrees. And, Dennis was a guy from Indiana, and most of the workers there had come from places where it was a little warmer and so more acclimated to that type of work. But Dennis was a hard worker. But anyway, I digress. I had a really good time during the summer, and Sanger Harris is a department store.
Okay.
And now it's been folded into Macy's.
I was going to say kind of like a Macy's.
Yeah,
but
it is. It was part of a group called Federated Department Stores back then, and it was one of the 2 biggest ones in the country. And so they offered me a job to come back. And so I interviewed with Arthur Anderson, DuPont, several others. I think I had 7 job offers. And
Sure.
but one of the things about retail that I noticed was that in the training class I was in, 75% of the people were beautiful young women. And it was completely different from the interviews I had in finance, which was a bunch of old guys with green eye shades on it. So
the opposite.
yeah. So I ended up, it was the lowest offer that I had.
Yeah.
But I really liked the space and enjoyed it. And retail welcomes sort of all types. And I felt like,
Absolutely.
it was a place where I could be myself. And at Arthur Anderson, I remember going up, it was actually here in Chicago in systems consulting. And they told me, you can't wear a blue shirt and you're not allowed to bring in a bag lunch. And I thought, they're just selling me.
Yeah.
And I just didn't like that feeling. So I ended up, going to work in retail a million years ago. And that was the start of my career.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that I think is an outstanding journey to get to the point of then being able to go back and teach and lead.
Yeah.
And, you think about the students that you interact over the course of 17 years, I'm sure there's a ton that you've influenced and helped pave their own ways.
I'd like to think so. I can say that I have at least 6 or 8 students that are now CEOs of their own companies.
Wow, very cool.
And I've been an investor in several of them.
I would say that's success.
Yeah. And I think I'm a well-liked educator. And I've learned a lot when, I came back, when we moved back from Dallas. My wife and I met in Dallas, so I'm married. I have 2 kids. And we moved back from Dallas, and really it was to be around my mom and dad because I come from a family of 5, and we're all Catholic, or were. And, you would expect us to be better at procreating, but nobody else in my family managed to produce any children. So I had the only 2 grandkids from mom and dad.
Oh, man.
So
the prized possessions.
Yeah. We just wanted to get closer to home and get a chance for them to get to know their grandparents.
I mean, I think that's a great cause and a great effort on your part to make that happen.
Yeah.
I know Adam and I were both young parents, and
Yes.
having grandparents in the picture has definitely been a big help.
Yes, it is. My daughter's 2nd birthday is tomorrow. So
congrats.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's a fun house to live in. 4 and 2, so it's crazy right now, John.
I've been there. My kids are 3.5 years apart. So
There you go.
And when we moved back, my daughter was 9 months, and my son was 4.5. So
Wow.
yeah, it was.
It's a fun age to move at.
It was really good because Bloomington. What's one of the things that's terrific about it, and especially coming from Dallas, when you look at values in Dallas, probably the most highly valued object is a giant SUV, and maybe some plastic surgery. In Bloomington, everybody in the highest esteem is intelligence and education. And so we were able to bring our kids in.
Yeah.
Public schools are fantastic, and they both turned out to be really good students, and through the good fortune of having great educators.
Yeah. I mean, I think the environment that you find to raise your family in, that definitely has an influence in that way.
Yeah. It's been it's a great experience. Bloomington's a wonderful, it's a great town for students, but also it's a good place to raise kids.
Sure.
I don't think I would necessarily want to be. I know this guy named Jack Thompson. Do you know him?
I do know Jack. Yes.
Yeah, I think he's like 27. But anyway, he would struggle to find someone he could date in Bloomington because people leave after they go to undergrad, and I think 21-year-old's a little too young for him now. So we'd have to keep away from him. But he's a good guy from what I hear. So
That's what we hear.
Jack's great.
Now, for yourself, you talked a little bit about you studied at Indiana before you became a professor.
Uh-huh.
How did your Hoosier story start? Like, how did you first end up even choosing Indiana?
Well, my dad said I grew up in Noblesville. No. He said, John, you can go anywhere you want for school as long as it's Purdue or Indiana, because back then you got state scholarship, and so essentially, our tuition was paid for, and I was a family of 5, and my dad was not rich.
Sure.
So we qualified for all of us, and we were all good students. And so I went to Purdue for a year, and I was in computer science, and I spent a lot of time in the basement of the math science building at Purdue, and I wasn't bad at programming. Matter of fact, I was president of our calculus club in high school. And we got a computer during my senior year, and it was a giant box that probably is less powerful than my Apple Watch. It was huge.
Yeah.
And our professor gave us coding assignments to do. Like you just do some programming around calculus problems.
Right.
And I was pretty good at it. So I started selling homework for 10 cents a code step. And so I'd make like $2.70 and 27 lines of code. And some of the kids in the calculus class were from more affluent families than myself. So it was a little, extra income. And so I thought, be a computer scientist. Because the true story is the only thing I've ever really wanted to be in my life is an astronaut. Yeah, because when I was growing up, I mean, astronauts were, that's it. So I was going to go into the Air Force. I was going to fly jets because you had to do that to be an astronaut back then.
Yeah.
And then when I
Make
was
your way down to NASA.
when I was 9 years old, I got glasses. And back then you couldn't.
I was gonna say that's
fly
it.
jets.
Couldn't be in there.
My
Yeah.
life was
20/20 vision.
pretty much over at that point. And so, I fell back on the computer science thing, and I went there for a year and said, I'm okay at computer science. But at the time I was dating this girl, and her dad was an accountant, and he was a CPA, and they lived in a fancy area of Noblesville, Indiana, and they were doing quite well.
Yeah.
And I took an accounting class at Purdue, and it was a semester-long class, and I had 104 out of 100 in the class because I got all the points and all the extra credit. So I said, I'm going to be an accountant. So, because I just had to have money.
Yeah.
And so I left and decided to go down to Indiana, and so I started my Hoosier career in my sophomore year.
Okay.
And
So a transfer student in, technically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And I had good grades and everything, and so got in and I was originally in accounting, and then I realized the accountants sort of keep track of stuff, and the finance boys decide where to spend it. And so I switched to finance, and it just served me well. It was surprisingly a good qualifier for retail because retail is very analytical. And so I was strong on the quantitative side of things.
Right.
And so it just helped me during my retail career and really throughout my career, I would say.
So is that, that tie-in on the quantitative side, kind of how you discovered marketing and retail was a passion of yours because it tapped into something that you naturally found interest in? Or how did you figure out like marketing and retail is what's for me?
I consider retail a subset of marketing. I mean, so I think most people when they think of marketing, they think of advertising.
Yes.
And so that's not marketing.
We can thank Don Draper for that.
Yeah, advertising is a marketing communication tool.
Right.
And so when we think of marketing, we think of old school: product, price, place, promotion, and advertising falls under the promotion realm of it. So it just by starting in retail, when you're in a buying office and purchasing, various objects for resale, you really have to think about how are we going to promote this? What's the price going to be? What's the timing on when we do it? How much do we need on all those things? So I really was doing marketing just under the guise of retail. And so here at Kelley, we've actually had a long history of providing talent to retail.
Okay.
We have most of the major retailers in the United States come to our school to recruit. So we have Walmart, Home Depot, Abercrombie and Fitch, American Eagle. Can't even think of all of them.
That's where their pipeline of talent is coming out of Kelley.
Yeah, exactly. So, and when I was leaving, a guy that was one of the CEOs of Federated Department Stores, the stores that I started with, he was a Kelley guy as well. And so it wasn't Kelley, but
Indiana,
the School of Business. Yeah. So, it's just when I came back to teach, I started in the College of Arts and Sciences, and it was in a program called merchandising. And it's a program that grew out of home economics. And, retail was one of the first areas where women were welcomed into the workplace in the 50s.
Sure.
And so if you go around to a lot of universities like Texas A&M and several others, you'll see a building that says home economics on it.
Yeah.
But that's where the merchandising or retail program is housed. And so
Gotcha.
we don't really have a retail degree at the Kelley School, but we offer several courses in retail. And so just over time, I've taught every type of marketing class you could ever imagine. But as my career has gone a little further along, I've sort of just moved to really just focusing on retail.
Yeah. And I would imagine, in those years of focusing on retail, you've seen countless trends, things that rise and fall in terms of demand. What are some of your favorite stories that have been a business story, if you will, that someone capitalizes on a trend, takes it to the marketplace, finds success, and then ultimately has it impact their business?
So I started working for a company called Fossil, the watch company.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I started there in 1997. I was
Just
VP.
have a Fossil watch.
Yeah,
back in
we
high
all
school.
did, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and now now they're almost bankrupt.
Yeah.
Knuckleheads. I mean, the management's been terrible there. You can quote me on that. Anyway, I started there as VP of marketing, and it was through a relationship that I'd met at the department store.
Okay.
So one of the two founders had worked with me in the department store, and he was dating the woman that I reported to. And we just stayed in touch over the years. So I ended up getting a job there. And so started in the fall of 1997. And I think the first thing they did is put me on a plane to Japan.
Okay.
And I'd traveled a lot at that point. So we had a business in Japan. And the founder was 6'7". And back then when we flew, we were nothing but coach. That was it. You always flew eco. And the greatest thing to try to do is to scam an upgrade and figure out a way to get, how do you get upgraded? And so it was point of honor to be able to get an upgrade sort of within Fossil. And then I remember also, traveling to Asia several times. And back then people could smoke on the plane.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'd go to it used to be 2-5-2 in the seating configuration. So I would take I'd book a window seat, but then I'd ask the flight attendants if there were any empty rows, and usually there were. And so what I would do is take the second seat in and fold down the arm stuff on the other two seats beside me, and then take a handkerchief and go, and nobody would ever sit beside me.
That's amazing.
And so then you could lay down during the 14-hour flight. So
Yeah, write that tactic down. I like that. Next time I fly.
so that's one funny story, at least to me. It's funny, but another one that I think is really interesting when you speak about trends. So I started in '97. Do you know when Amazon was founded?
Well, mid-late 90s.
94.
Yeah.
Yep. So we started a commerce-enabled website in fall of 1998.
Oh.
So we were way ahead of the curve. Target didn't have their own website until 2012.
Wow.
So 15 years after us. So we built that thing, and there was a coding guy that did it, and somehow he ended up reporting to me. And it was sort of a project that the CEO had realized the significance of this new tool for reaching people, and he's an early adopter in it. So we built this for-profit website. E-commerce enabled website at that point, and we turned that thing on one day. And I remember the next day, the guy said, "Hey, we got some orders," and we printed them out, and we go, "What do we do now?" so we had to go down to the accounting department, and they had to take one of those little devices and run the credit card numbers, because we didn't have any mechanism. It didn't have a payment mechanism on it, so it had to go through our regular bank account. Yeah. And then we had to go over and find the watch. So we'd walk over to the warehouse, and we shipped to Macy's, all the big department stores. And when we shipped our watches, we'd ship 108 watches, and they came in kind of egg tray sorts of configurations, like 18 of them on an egg tray stacked.
Okay.
And then wrapped in plastic, put in a big box. Yeah. And then separately, we had our packaging, which was these famous tins that you might remember from Fossil.
I remember that.
So we shipped the tins separately to the stores, and the watch and the tin only found themselves at the stores.
Interesting.
So at the point of sale, what would happen is you'd be working behind I want this watch, and you'd go, which tin would you like? It took them longer to pick the 10 out than it did to select the watch. And it made you see the importance of, what you put around the product.
Yeah.
But anyway, we went to the warehouse, and I remember saying to the head of operations over there, we just need one watch. He goes, what? What are you, crazy? Yeah. So we had to go around. We found the watch. We then had to go get a 10 from a different place. We had to assemble it and put it together. And then we didn't have any packages. All our boxes were this big. So we had to take our own cardboard and cut it into the appropriate size, fold it, tape it all up.
And you were doing that.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And then, ship that out.
Yeah.
And we did that the whole fall season. We probably did, 300 or 400 orders during the fall, which was miraculous. And so the next year we built the back end.
Yeah.
But I've always just thought it was funny that I was in e-commerce before most people even knew what it was.
Yeah. No, I think you mentioned the tins and that aha moment of seeing the impact that presentation can have with branding. I think that's one of the things we talk about often is ways you can increase perceived value of whatever product's being created. For yourself, what are some of the other things that you've seen impact that perceived value, whether it's maybe packaging, private labeling, just different ways that you can really increase the brand impact?
Well, so we know brand works. And I don't know, there's a whole body of research that you may or may not heard of, but it's really not related to brand, but it is in a way. And there's a guy named Baba Shiv that's at Stanford.
Okay.
And he works with functional magnetic resonance imaging. And so they put people in a magnet and they do various studies and they can see what's going on in terms of brain activity. And so there's a well-known body of work that has demonstrated that only 5% of people in the world can tell the difference between a good wine and a bad one.
Wow.
Yeah. Most people don't tell us. But if you tell a person that this bottle of wine is $100 and this one's $12, they will like the $100 bottle better.
For sure.
And so price, has a very important, it's a very important component of perceived value. And so when you think about price combined with a strong branding like you guys are attempting to do here, then you'll notice like luxury goods are always zero endings. Like you'll never see a 99 ending on a luxury good. And so it goes with that, creation of value, I think.
Yeah.
So it's always important to think holistically around what it is you're doing.
Yeah.
Whatever your guys' point is here is that it all matters. Like you played your funny little tune at the beginning. We're
creating.
It's all about the
experience,
experience.
Yeah. It is. I mean, that's one of the things I talk about now. I've worked with Simon Property Group quite a bit over the years.
Yeah.
Both sitting on the other side of the table negotiating leases, for stores I was opening. And then also I've done expert witness work for them in the courtroom. And
I like that could be a podcast in itself.
Yeah, it was very interesting. But I suggested the name to them that they shouldn't call it a mall or a shopping center. It's an experience center.
Right.
And that's really what it is. And if you think about what's happening in retail today, there's no real reason for you to carry something out from that when you go in there. And really transactions should take place in the background.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but I can't remember the last time I actually went into a Starbucks and ordered something. I put it on my app
and just go in and pick it up.
And you've got what, $37 on your Starbucks app?
Yeah.
Look at the cash on their balance sheet.
Yeah.
Because they've got $25 from everybody in the United States.
Yeah.
What a great scam.
It is.
I mean, they could be a bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
with branding, you've got the background in marketing. In your words, what's the difference between branding and marketing?
Branding is a component of marketing.
Okay.
So, and when you think of branding, you could also, a lot of times I think branding is associated with logo, visual imagery, those sort of things. But a brand is really about a promise that you're making to customers. And if you think about why would you assign a brand, and I remember teaching about this long ago, you just brought it back to my brain, but I was working in the Western business for quite some time and went to some rodeos and
this is like Western business.
Yeah, Western. No, I went, they made me go quail hunting and I actually shot one of my colleagues. Unintentionally, but I wasn't very good with a shotgun.
That was the last.
Those quail flew up, man. I was just winging that thing around and got one in the shoulder for a buddy of it. They still
Was
sold
it Dennis?
No, it wasn't Dennis. Anyway, yeah. So coming out of the Western business, when I started teaching, I got to thinking about brand, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know what a brand is when you think about cattle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So why do they have that on their butt? Do you know?
To claim it would be my guess.
It's
Like for the farmer.
There's some identity, but also, a lot of when their cattle roam on open ranges.
Yeah.
So when they're being brought in, I don't know if you've ever seen a cattle pen, but they have an arch when you come in and a cowboy sits on top of it.
Yeah.
And when the cattle come in, they look at the
He's
brand.
looking at all the brands.
They look at the brand and they slap its butt one way or the other to go into the appropriate side of the pen. So it's a mechanism for identity.
Yeah.
And also it's a mechanism for authenticity. So if you think about Angus beef, for example, if you can't say that you have some distinguishing characteristic that makes Angus better, or you're going to say that it is, whether it objectively is better or not. And by the way, there is no objectivity. There is no value. There's only perceived value.
Yeah.
So brands are about enhancing perceived value, and that's what I think the Kelley School's done an excellent job of that by creating a brand that has a lot of recognition in the suburbs of Chicago, the suburbs of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
The West Coast, the East Coast, all over the United States, and we draw from everywhere, and it's the Kelley brand.
Yeah.
And I think what that brand promises is mostly that when your kid goes to Kelley, that kid will have a job when they get out.
I mean,
and it will be a good one.
So you mentioned all the people lining up to come hire Kelley grads.
Yeah. So it's that's kind of our promise, I think.
I love that.
Yeah, and we could say that maybe we provide a superior education. I don't know if that's provable, but we do get good outcomes. And we've focused really well on helping our students be proficient at interactions